Her triumphs, I took a group of women that didn't believe in themselves, and I just believed in them. Her trials,
I never wanted to go to practice. I was losing a ton of weight.
her story,
I just put my faith in God and just trusted the system.
her why.
I want people to see what I did and say, oh, that's so awesome. I'm going to be better than that. That would be how I hope that this journey ends.
This is Her Why, where we tell the stories from BYU women's sports. Here is your host, Lauren McLean.
We're so glad you've joined us on Her Why, where we celebrate the women who make BYU sports great. For this week's episode, we're joined by Mackenzie Miller Lung, a BYU swimmer and all-time record holder. And as a very special treat, this interview was done by one of her former teammates and good friends who just happens to be one of our assistant producers here on Her Why, Annie Robinson. Take it away, Annie.
You broke the all-time BYU women's 200 breaststroke record at the Texas Invitational.
Mm-hmm.
Can you walk me through what that was like for you, like from the start to finish, from warm-ups till the race was over?
I have wanted to break this record for all the years that I've been at college. It's only been 3, but it's been a goal of mine for so long. And I've slowly just been chipping away at it. And then specifically at the Texas Invite, we started out the meet and I was really scared for the competition and just everything, especially because the day before I had swam the 100 breaststroke and it didn't necessarily go the way that I thought it was going to go. It was still fine, but I think that set me up really well going into the 200 because I knew, I just need to swim this the way that I always do. I need to do the same warm-up that I've been doing every day. I need to make sure that I'm hitting my stroke counts for every 25. I need to hit my pull downs, and as long as I can execute the race the way that I know I needed to, I would be able to walk away with whatever time I was given. And I think that really just set me up to be able to do good. And yeah, I was so happy with seeing that time on the board. It was a personal best for me.
You should be.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was so excited.
That is so exciting. So let's talk about, there's so much that goes into a race like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you have your pull downs, your start, your finish, everything goes into it. So what was your training like leading up to this meet? Because this is a big meet.
Specifically this year, we have our new head coach, Tamber.
Yes.
And I love Tamber. She really has been focusing with me on hitting pace for breaststroke. Yeah, it's just hard work. Lifting, swimming, you always gotta, even outside of the pool, I'm always visualizing my race, mentally preparing, watching videos. And once it comes to race time, I have to tell myself that I've done this a million times. I've done it a million times in practice. I've done it a million times in my head. And I just need to get up there and execute. It doesn't matter what anyone else around me is doing.
There's so much work that goes into it. And you've been working for this for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you finally got it. So what was it like when you touched and you looked at the scoreboard and you saw that you got it? What was that feeling like?
It was amazing. I knew that I was going to go fast because I was in a heat with other fast girls. And I ended up touching first in my heat, which was beyond amazing to me. Seeing that time on the board, I literally immediately was smiling. My face was so red. I was just so excited. Right when I got out of the pool, all of my teammates were standing behind the block and they had been cheering for me the whole time. And I just ran over and I gave everyone a hug and it was just ecstasy. I was so excited to get to share that moment with my team and my coaches and everyone who's been there for me since the beginning.
I love it. You swam against Lucy Bell from Stanford,
Mm-hmm.
who is the nation's top 200 breaststroker right now.
Yeah.
So what was it like being in a heat with her? Were you super nervous? Were you excited? Did you feel a lot of pressure? How was that?
Yeah, so she wasn't in my heat in prelims.
Okay.
I was able to win my heat. So she wasn't there. She ended up going a little bit faster than me in prelims. But at finals, she was right next to me. And the thing that's so interesting to me is when you go up against these really, really fast people, they're not really who you expect them to be. I mean, obviously she's amazing and so fast, but like I was standing next to her and I'm a very tall girl and I was standing next to her and I was like, she's not as tall as I thought she was going to be. I was like, she's kind of small, but believe me, small and mighty. She's very, very fast. And I ended up being right next to her in the finals heat for the 2 breast. And this is where things get a little bit funny because I went the school record at prelims. And then going into finals, I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter that these girls are really fast. Doesn't matter what they go. I'm just going to dive in and swim my own race. So I swam the first 50 and I was able to like hit my stroke count and keep up with these girls. So then by the second 50, I was like, I am totally going to keep up with them the whole race. I was like, oh, I got this. Like I'm with them. So in the second 50, I'm like with them. Like, I was super excited. I was like, oh, I'm going to like get second or third. Like I'm going to go another best time. And then like the first 25 of the second 100, I didn't count my strokes and I got to the wall and I have no energy. I like tried too hard to keep up with the fastest people in the nation. And I ended up, my first 100, I ended up going a 101 for like the first 100 split.
Which is so fast.
Which is only, I think
that's
it was
close to your best.
It was only like a half a second away from what I went the day before. And then by the last 50, I was like blacking out. I was like crying. I was like, oh my gosh,
your
this
goggles
hurts
are fogging
so bad.
up.
Goggles fogging up. My teammates were like, just finish the race. So it was really funny. And I like wasn't upset about it because it was my second fastest time I've ever gone. And I got to race against all these fast people and I already broke the record. So I was like, you know what? This was just such a fun experience. Yeah.
Was swimming in college always a big goal for you?
So I played basketball like very seriously and I thought that I was going to play basketball in college. Up until about middle school, I decided I wanted to join the water polo team because it was in a different season, the basketball season was. And it was either join the water polo team or do cross country. And I was like, oh, not built for running. So joined the water polo team. Super fun. I played water polo for I think 3 or 4 years. And then once I got to high school, my freshman year of high school, my water polo coach was like, you need to swim in the off season so that you stay in swim shape. And I was like, okay, whatever. So freshman year, I joined the swim team. Then I am on the swim team my freshman year. And I just kept getting faster and faster. And I kept moving up on the team. And then at the end of the year, we do what's called the TRAC or the track meet, which is all of like the schools in our region. And I was like, I am going to show all of these other swimmer girls that swim club every single day and all year round that a girl like me that doesn't swim club can beat them.
Yeah.
So I ended up,
as you should.
I think I won track, which let me go to valleys, which is like California split up into like northern, southern, and then the Central Valley. So go to valleys, and I learned that if you get first or second at valleys, then you get to go to state. I ended up getting third at valleys. So did not make state, and I was bawling my eyes out on the podium. And I get down from the podium, like talking to my parents, and they're like, Mackenzie, you just went a best time. You are not a swimmer. Like, this is amazing.
This.
Yeah. They were like, this is amazing. Like, why are you so sad? And I was like, well, I didn't meet the goal I wanted to meet. And that's when Coach John Magoo comes up to me and he goes, Mackenzie, my name is Coach Magoo. I am the coach for the Clovis Swim Club Elite Group, and I'm going to see you at practice on Monday.
You're kidding.
I'm not. And I literally, like, a switch flipped in my brain, and I was like, yeah, you're right.
I'll be there.
I'll be there. I quit playing water polo. I quit playing basketball, and I joined Clovis Swim Club, and I've just been a club swimmer ever since then. So it's interesting because when people are like, oh, like, you're so talented, how long have you been swimming? And I'm like, well, I technically didn't start like swimming competitively and swimming for a club until like sophomore year of high school.
I think that's interesting because a lot of people think you have to start from swimming lessons.
Yeah.
Or you have to start at a super young age at a sport to be good.
Yeah,
and
but you don't.
We hear like we've had more guests on this podcast and they've started in high school or they've started a lot later than the norm. And they've just outswam or outshined everyone. So it's everyone has their own path.
Yeah. And it's honestly, it's not about how much, like how long you've been doing it. It's like the work that you put in with the time that you have,
100%. You were recruited by Alabama, Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, UC San Diego, which are all amazing swim schools, by the way. But how did you get recruited to BYU? What was that story?
So it was really interesting. The way that recruiting works for swimming is after your sophomore year of high school, I believe, June 15th, before your junior year, coaches are allowed to talk to you. And it was during COVID when I had, like, during that summer, I think it was actually like 2020, June 15th. I was at my house. I was like working out just like in my room. And I think it was like 6 a.m, like so early, whatever. And I got a call and I was like, who the heck is calling me at 6 a.m? Like, this is so random. And then I realized like what the date was. So I answer the phone. It's like, hey, this is Coach like so-and-so from UC San Diego. Like, we wanted to be the first to call you. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just woke already. Like, wow. And I think I like just remember all day like sitting at the table and listening to just getting call after call from these schools and being like, yeah, like some of them I was like, I'm sorry, like I'm not super interested. Or yeah, like I'll stay in touch. Like it was really an amazing, exciting day for me. And I remember waiting all day and being like, I really hope BYU calls me. I really think like it'd be so fun to go to BYU. I really hope that they call me. And it was getting like later in the day and I was like, oh my gosh, like Utah had already called me. Arizona had already called me. I was like, oh my gosh, like BYU is not going to call me. I was like freaking out. And then I'm like eating lunch and I get a call from a Utah area code. And I was like, it's BYU. So I answer the phone. I'm like, I'm so excited. They like tell me that they're interested. And then that's kind of when you start like the recruiting process. So I started talking to these other schools because, I wanted to keep my options open, even though BYU was like pretty much at the top for the majority of the time. It was BYU, Utah, and then Arizona State. But I just talked, weeded out like different schools, kind of got down to like my bottom like couple schools that I like really wanted. And then there came a time when, I'm not going to say which school it was, but one school was like, okay, this is how much we're going to give you. We need you to make a decision now. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I wasn't ready for it. So I said, you know what? I need to call BYU. So I called BYU and I said, hey, this school is offering me this. I don't mean to be like super forward, but they want me to commit now. And I want to hear like what you guys have to offer. And BYU ended up talking to me and I like talked to both schools and I was like, you know what? I think this is also after a lot of like fasting and praying and like my family and talking to lots of different people. I was like, you know what? BYU just feels right. So I called my coach and I said, hey, I'm so excited. I'm going to come to BYU.
I love it. Why BYU? Like what to you makes it so special and why were you so excited to come here in the beginning? And why did you want them to pick you?
Yeah. So, both of my parents went to BYU.
Yes.
And they met at BYU and
carrying on tradition.
Yeah. And I'm a member of the church. So it was very like, my mom really wanted me to go to BYU because she wanted me to be around other people that were kind of had like the same values as me. And she's an amazing mother for that because she knew like what I needed. Mm-hmm. And then I also was super interested in like the culture of the team at BYU. I know I had other friends who had gone to these huge swimming schools, Tennessee, Cal, like all of these like big schools, and their team culture just wasn't like what I really wanted, They had like lots of drama and it just, I don't know. And then once I had already like decided that I wanted to go to BYU, but once I came on my visit and I like met these girls on the team and I was like, oh wow, like all these people get along super well. Everyone is so nice, like so nice. And I know I just knew that I like made the right decision, and that this is like where like God needed me to be, like where I would be able to make amazing friends like Miss Annie. So yeah, it's honestly just the culture of the school and the team, and it's amazing.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll have more from BYU swimming record holder Mackenzie Miller Lung about why she's leaving the sport after her junior year. This is Her Why. Hey everyone, it's Lauren McLean. If you're anything like me and can't seem to get enough of BYU athletes or the inspiring things they're doing, check out the Deep Blue podcast. Host Jason Shepard sits down with the Cougs' most beloved coaches and athletes, diving deep into their triumphs, failures, and lives. Each episode offers a unique behind-the-scenes look at the personal stories that have shaped these incredible individuals, from their early beginnings to their standout moments on and off the field. You'll hear about their faith, their families, and the lessons they've learned along the way, making it easier to cheer for them not only as athletes, but as human beings. Deep Blue is about much more than just sports. It's about life, resilience, and the journey that makes each athlete and coach a true Cougar. Whether you're a diehard BYU fan or just love a good story, Deep Blue has something for you. So don't miss out. Listen to Deep Blue on the BYU Radio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
So you are a junior right now, but this is your last year swimming, and a lot of athletes will swim the full 4 years. And also, I saw on one of your Instagram posts that you posted for this year before the season started, and your caption was, didn't know how I was going to make it to year 3. So you are doing year 3. So I just want to talk about why you decided to do a 3rd year, but then also why this is your last year.
Yeah, so my first 2 years of swimming, like as excited I was about swimming and coming here and like having all these friends, it was pretty hard for me. I had never been away from my family. I am the oldest of 5 younger siblings, so it was really hard to like leave my siblings. It was hard to leave my parents. And then I have also never lived anywhere cold. So the first winter that I was here, apparently it was like the worst winter Utah's had in like 10 years. So it was just really hard on my mental health. So obviously swim is hard, just a lot of change. It was hard on me my first year. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to swim another year. Hopefully it'll get better. And then at the beginning of the year, I ended up having to have stitches. And you can't swim when you have stitches.
Remember that.
Yeah. Had to have stitches. Had some other like little medical issues going on that just made it, again, my mental health, like it was a lot better. But it was hard. A lot of change happened. I had like just gotten married, and we were still trying to navigate like having both of our separate lives being like together. Year 2 was just like hard. We had also had some like issues like on the team, and swim is not an easy sport. If you are starting to like fall out of love with it, it's really hard to like keep going, especially when I wasn't like swimming as fast as I thought I could, and I wasn't swimming as fast as I wanted to, and it just made me like not want to keep going. And that's kind of when my sophomore year is when I decided that I was like, I don't think I can do another 2 years.
Yeah.
It's to the point where I think I might need to be done after this year. And then that's when I found out that Tamber was going to be our new head coach. And I was like, okay, I love Tamber, and I think I can give her 1 more year, but I cannot do 2. Like, it was just too much for my brain to think like, oh, I still have 2 more years left of swimming, you know? So I fasted and prayed about it a lot, talked to my husband, talked to my family, talked to a lot of different people about what the best course of action would be for me. And the best course of action was that I'd be done after this year. And as much as I am a little bit sad because I feel like I'm having one of the best years of swim in my life, I love the team. I love the way that I'm training. I'm swimming fast. It's amazing. I do think that was like God's plan. I think he was like, you know what? This is going to be your last year, but it's going to be a great one. And I think that the reason that it is so great is because I know that this is my last year, and it's kind of just like what's better for my family, you know?
Yeah.
My like I said, I got married last year, and it's very like our lives are kind of moving forward. And as much as I love swimming and I love being here and being with my friends, it's like this is just the trajectory that my life is headed. So I am so happy to like be swimming this year, and I'm so happy that I decided to give it like another shot because
and you broke the record.
Yes. Because
and
this is the greatest thing.
So much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm glad you stuck it out for one more year too, even though it's so hard, but you have accomplished so much this year already.
Yeah.
So that's so awesome. So let's talk about your coach for a second. Coach Tamber McAllister. She was your specialty coach for breaststroke in the past years when Sherry was the head coach, Sherry Scabland. And so Sherry retired and Coach Tamber took the head coaching position. So that's super exciting.
Yeah.
And I know you have a pretty close relationship with her. How was it telling her that this was going to be your last year? What was that like?
Yeah. So it was just a long decision that I had to make. It's a hard decision, you know?
It is.
There were a lot of different factors that went into it. And I remember being so scared to tell her, sick to my stomach for days. I put it off for so long because I was like, I don't know how to tell her. I don't want to stress her out. I don't want to make her, because she had just gotten the coaching position and there was a bunch of things going on that I just didn't want to burden her. But I was like, I need to tell her. I went in to tell her. I literally was could not eat. I was shaking, freaking out. And I go and I sit down and I'm like, Tamber, I have to tell you something. And she's like, yeah, this in the sweetest, most motherly tone. She was like, yeah, what's up? I'm here for you. And I was like, I think this is going to be my last year. And she just goes, I know. I was like, oh, okay. Wait, what? I was like, oh,
I stressed myself out about this for no reason.
I know. I was like, oh, what gave it away? And she was like, well, you did take 21 credits over the summer. So I figured you probably wanted to graduate early. And she was like, and I honestly didn't even think you were going to come back for this year. I know how hard it was on you. I see how it affects your mental health. She was like, I'm honestly just happy that you're back for this year. She said, and I if you want to tell me more about your decision that goes into it, you totally can. If not, that's okay. So I told her, I was like, I want to tell you because it has nothing to do with the team. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with anything that anyone has done. This is just what's best for me and my husband and our families. And that's just how it is. And she was like, you know what? I'm so happy that you know, what you want. You have a plan for your life. And even though I would love for you to keep swimming, I'm happy that this is you know what to do. You are so smart and so driven, and this is going to be great for you.
That's amazing.
Oh, Tamber, you're the best.
That probably made you feel a lot of relief.
It made me feel so much better. And then it also kind of segued us into the conversation of being well, since this is my last year, we are going to absolutely wreck it. We are going to work as hard as possible. I want you to work me to the bone. I want to I have certain goals that I want to meet before I'm done, and I want to do them this year. And she was like, of course, this is awesome. So
she's just amazing. She's such a great coach. And what has it been like for you since you have pretty close relationship with her, same strokes, but you're used to her kind of being an assistant coach. I mean, for the past couple years, but what has it been like seeing her take on the role of head coach and being over the entire program? Yeah.
Honestly, I think she is doing an amazing job. She really stepped up. And I thought that the breaststroke group would get a little bit neglected because she is the head coach, but that is not the case at all. She has always made time for her little breaststrokers. I think she's built to be a head coach. She's amazing at balancing everything that's going on. Her communication skills are great with the team. She make sure to like really care about all of the swimmers, you know?
Yeah. You have been so successful since you've been here at BYU, and I'm so proud of you. Friend to friend, but I'm so proud of you. But you have broken the 200 breaststroke record, all time BYU. Also the 50 breaststroke, and potentially the 100 breaststroke, which would be amazing. All Mackenzie Miller Lung. So you've really made your mark here, I think. And even though it's your last year, you've really accomplished a lot, and that is so amazing. But you are, like you said, you did mention this earlier, like you're kind of at your peak right now. So do you ever kind of wonder what it would be like if you went further, or do you feel satisfied with what you've accomplished and you're just kind of ready to move on?
Yeah, I think actually at the beginning of this season, I was just having so much fun and like swimming so great that I was like, maybe I should just like do another year. Like maybe I should. But then I was thinking about it and like praying about it, and I was like, maybe I should do another year. And I kind of got the like realization that I have kind of fulfilled my purpose as a swimmer. And while it would be great to try and like train harder and like see what I can do, I think that like this is what God needs for me. And his plan is that like this, I can give everything that I have for my last year. And I really want to end on like an amazing note. And while next year probably could also be amazing, it really speaks to me that good things don't last forever. You know?
Yeah.
Like, this is going to sound dumb, but you know, when you get like Chick-fil-A sauce and it's like, they give you the tiniest little, they give you the tiniest little thing and you have to like savor it throughout your meal.
It's true.
That was probably the worst analogy I could have made. But
no, it was perfect. It was perfect.
But it's like everything, like I was talking to my mom about this. She said, change is good and change is what helps us grow. And you can't grow if you just keep doing the same thing. And while I love swimming and I would love to keep swimming, it's time for me to grow and kind of pass the baton on to these other girls who are going from high school swimming to college swimming so that they can grow while they're in college, you know?
I love it. I think it is so important. I think it's so important to listen to yourself and think what's best for me right now. And people on the outside, they don't really like know you personally.
Yeah.
And maybe they're like, why would she stop? She's so good. She could do so much more. But look at what you have accomplished. Yeah. It's seriously so amazing. And I'm so proud.
Oh, thanks.
But what's next for you? You're majoring in communications, me as well, but you're also a social media manager right now for Influxer, which is a company. What are your plans? Like, do you like what you're doing right now, or do you see yourself doing something else?
So I actually do really like the job that I'm working right now. It's more of like an internship. So once I graduate, I'll like pass it on to the next athlete that wants an internship. But the plan is once me and my husband graduate, we are going to move back home to Clovis, California.
I love it.
Just to be near both of our families. And we love Clovis. We love the high schools in the area. We love just everything about it. We love it. So I'm hoping that I can get a job. I would love to be a swim coach. You
would be amazing.
I know. Tamber is such a big like role model for me that she's kind of inspired me to like, I could be a coach. I could help some swimmer who is struggling the same way that Tamber helped me. So that's kind of the plan for now. The swim coach thing is like pretty solid. I talked to the coach for Clovis Swim Club last week while I was at home, and I am very excited to hopefully work under him and coach, maybe even move up, coach a high school, maybe coach at Fresno State.
You would be so amazing. I think you should pursue that. I think you would love it.
Yeah, I would love it.
That was Annie Robinson, one of our Her Why assistant producers with BYU swimmer and all-time record holder Mackenzie Miller Lung. We're taking a few weeks off for the Christmas holiday, but we'll be back on January 8th with another brand new episode. If you want to hear more from Mackenzie, tune into our bonus episode where she tells the story of how she met her husband. Thanks to Annie Robinson and Sydney Simpson for producing this episode. Senior producer is Cleon Wall. Her Why is a production of BYU Radio.